All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. My name is Sarah Baker, so definitely glad to have you all on. It's just me presenting today. Before we do get started, I wanted to quickly introduce a little bit about GoToWebinar so you know how to engage back with me. So there should be a little panel on the right-hand side of your screen. And if the panel is sticking out, then that's good. And if you can only see a few buttons, just simply click the orange arrow, and then you should be able to click on the questions drop down. And whenever you have a question, just simply type in a question in that option, and then I will answer all of the questions at the end. Alrighty, so we'll get started here. So again, welcome. My name is Sarah Baker. I am the marketing manager of the storage group, so definitely happy to have you all here today. And today, really what we're talking about is the future of local SEO. And so I know that might be a mouthful already. Some of you might be saying, that's not too familiar to me, and that is perfectly okay, right? We'll go over really what that means and why it's pertinent to your storage facility's revenue, and why it's pertinent to your storage facility's future conversions. Right, so we'll move on to the next slide here. So a quick little agenda for us to go over today. First, we want to talk about really what is this importance of maintaining SEO, right? And so the importance of this, it will come soon, but the main thing is this has so much to do with your online conversions and website traffic, right? So really important there. The next thing is making sure that you know the latest features from Google My Business. Sorry, I just realized you all couldn't see my screen, but now I see you see it. And then a couple of last things that we'll be covering is the Google Elite package that we are now offering. So really it comes in as a solution to these new features from Google My Business. Also, we'll talk about really how you can compete in your local rankings, right? So there's a lot that you can do, especially with new digital trends coming along. And one of those digital trends is voice search. So we'll be talking about a few solutions that your storage facility can take in order to take advantage of those trends. Perfect. So I do just want to start out with a quick poll question here, and I'll give everyone some time to answer this. But really what it is what are you hoping to gain from this webinar exactly? So are you hoping to learn some education, just use on your own? Are you hoping to learn about the storage group's products and services? Are you currently deciding on a product you know that is discussed in this webinar, or maybe it's none of the above or all of the above? So I will launch that poll, give everyone some time to vote. Perfect. About half of the people have voted. So just a few more moments here. All right, about 20 more seconds and we'll finish everything up. All righty, I'll close this up. Close the poll, I'll share the results. So it looks like the majority of you are either wanting to learn about all of the products, deciding on one, or you're also just looking for education. So wherever you are in this process, no worries. We'll definitely cover all of that for you today, as well as, just some education that you can use on your own. All right, so let's really get into it. So first we'll be talking about the importance of maintaining your SEO. Really that first component of the importance for this is Google updates. The updates on Google's algorithm are ongoing, they are constant, right? They're really never ending, specifically in 2018, right? Google has been making so many changes, so it is so important for any business website to stay on top of these changes, right? And I know I'm just saying Google. Of course, there's other search engines out there, but as we all know, Google is just #1 as far as search engines go. So this is our main focus, especially for this webinar and presentation. Okay, so first let's talk about a couple of terms here. So first there's search engine optimization. What exactly is that? So I'll commonly abbreviate that as SEO. But what this is it's the process of increasing both the quality and the quantity of traffic to your website, right? And that's through search engine results pages. So really, we want a lot of people to get to your website, but we also want the right people getting to your website, right? We want people that are going to potentially rent or become conversions to your website. And then we also have local SEO on this. So this is similar definition here, but really what this is it's geared towards local audiences. This is extremely important for storage facilities specifically. So definitely something we want to pay attention to, and we'll dial into this majorly during this presentation. All right, so excellent rankings online. Are they really worth it? And what we say is yes, absolutely. They are definitely worth it. So what I mean by excellent rankings, right? If you don't really know what I mean when I say that, what I mean is getting on that first page of search results, whether you are on Bing, whether you're on Google, or whether you're on Yahoo. That's what we're talking about when we say excellent rankings. So when we say, are they worth it? The storage group would argue every time asked that question, yes, absolutely, this is so worth it. And here's why, right? So the first page of search results gets 95% of online traffic. So you can see that a majority of online traffic gets to that first page and first page only, right? So really that's where your facility should be popping up for online presence and success. Okay, then you look over at the second page of Google search results. So this is pretty important as well. Only 3% of searches make it to the second page of search results. So you can see how significant that drop is just on the second page. Alrighty, then looking down here in the bottom left-hand corner, there are 3.5 billion searches made per day on Google. Now, remember I said Google is that #1 search engine, right? So that's why there's so many searches on Google. But more importantly for storage facilities, 46% of all those searches on Google are local searches. So those local-based searches are the ones that will be more geared towards finding a local business and geared towards storage facilities specifically. All right, so we'll talk about the latest tools from Google My Business, really how you can boost your rankings in a new way. So I talked about how important it really is for you to rank online. Okay, these tools from Google My Business that have just recently been released are a really excellent way for you to do that. So Google My Business itself, it's not so new. I'm sure many of you already know about this. You may or may not, whatever, but it's not new, but it's super important. What's new about this is that it's releasing these new features, right? So what Google My Business is doing is it's really developing itself into a sophisticated storefront. And what that means is it's becoming a really optimal location to market any local business. And of course, that means it's becoming a fantastic tool to market storage facilities. So before we get any deeper into this information, I do just want to give some introductory information, right? So the knowledge graph is something that I'll be kind of thrown around throughout this presentation. As you can see here, this is what, when you Google something, this is what a search result page would look like. So on the left-hand side, you can see the listings, and on that right-hand side, you can see a box highlighted in orange, and that's exactly what the knowledge graph is, right? So you'll see a little knowledge panel here, and when I refer to the knowledge graph, that's exactly what I'm referring to. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Google My Business Signals. So Google My Business Signals now makes up for 25% of ranking factors for local searches, right? So this may or may not sound huge to you, but I am telling you right now, this is a huge, huge, huge piece of news in the digital marketing industry, right? We have always known that customer reviews make up for 13% of ranking factors for local searches, and that's always been really huge, right? With all the factors rather that affect your online rankings, the fact that Google My Business Signals make up for 25% is really significant. Okay, so now that I've said that, you're probably wondering, okay, what are Google My Business Signals? Well, that's exactly what we'll go into, right? So first there's Google Posts, and then there's also Google Q&As. So those are the two ones we'll be talking about. Of course, there are definitely more, but these are the main ones that storage facilities should really be taking advantage of. All right, so I just want to show you all an example of what exactly these look like. These two examples can be navigated to right from the knowledge graph, right? That's that little panel I showed you a couple slides ago. So you'll see here on the left-hand side, there's a Google post. That's kind of what a Google post looks like, right? That actually is one of our Google posts. So you'll see that there's a little post similar to a social media post. You'll see a call to action button on that one specifically. It's book. There's a option to give it a thumbs up, give it a little bit more real estate in search results. So it's very similar to a social media post, but in search engine results pages. Now on the right-hand side, you'll see the Google Q&As. And so that's what those will look like when you click on the See questions in the knowledge graph. But you'll see that there's questions asked, and then we as the storage group have answered those questions strategically with alternative keywords, really strategically placed so that we get more traffic and more online presence. Okay, so now you know exactly what we're referring to when we say Google Posts. Let's go over, how they came to be and why they're so important. So some of you may or may not know, but Google Plus was the social media platform for Google. And I say was because it is actually closing down, right? There was a bit of a security breaching and there's a big lack of use, but it seems to be that there's this transition from Google Plus to Google Posts. Now, no one's stating that specifically, right? But that seems to be the general pattern here, and more people are starting to use Google Posts. So again, like I said, they display on the right-hand side of search results in that Google Knowledge Graph, that little knowledge panel you'll see. What Google Posts really do is they create this higher visual appeal in search engine results pages, guiding more traffic your way, giving your local listing a little more quote unquote decoration, so to say. As I mentioned earlier, there's clear call to action buttons included on these posts. And then you can also just share your expertise with these posts, right? Similar to posting on social media, this is a great way to share your knowledge and show that, hey, our storage facility knows what we're doing, choose us. And then Google Posts are additionally a great way to share some alternative keywords. So alternative keywords, that's more of a SEO term, right? But it's a really good way to attract more relevant traffic towards your website. All right, so I'm going to go into our second poll question here. So I'll go ahead and launch that. I just want to know, what is your current interest in Google Posts? So maybe A, it's education. B, are you determining if Google Posts are right for your business? Or C, you're very interested already in signing up for Google Post services. Perfect. Looks like over half of everyone has responded to this question. So I'll give you about 20 more seconds and then we'll close this on up. All right, perfect. I will close that up. About 70% of people have answered. I'll share the results here. So it kind of seems like we're all over, but the majority of people are wanting to get some education about Google Posts, which is absolutely understandable. They're pretty new and they're highly underutilized. So we'll go into, the importance of this. All right, so now that we've talked about, the potential benefits from Google Posts and what exactly they are, here are some tips, right? A little bit of education for you following up on that question that your facility can use. So some post ideas that, would be good for storage facilities specifically are similar to what you'd want to post on social media, right? But again, it shows up in search results, so it's way more powerful. You could post about specials and promotions. You could post about maybe special facility features that you have to offer. You can also broadcast some new storage units that you have available. Maybe you have new climate controlled units, something like that. Or possibly you have an upcoming storage auction that you want to advertise. So really anything that you want to share with the public, that's a really great way to utilize Google Posts. Something I would avoid in Google Posts is extremely salesy or really promotional language, right? BOGO or 20% off in all caps, or anything that really seems too out there, right? You really want to kind of come down to a educational level to keep your audience engaged, right? This salesy language will actually drive people away. With Google Posts, you typically want to post once a week, right? So it's shown that not more, but not much less is good. So this is the optimal level for now. Each post will disappear after 7 days, right? So the post will run for 7 days, and then it will simply disappear off your knowledge graph. So that seems to be a really good level to post. And then again, like I said, it helps to include educational material. Maybe it's something from a blog that you have, if you have that, or information that potential tenants would find useful if they're storing in the future. So with Google Posts, you have different call to action button options, right? And so each one of these call to action buttons can be linked to any website, but preferably you want to link it to your website, of course. So book is the first option for your call to action button. That was actually the example used in that picture prior to this. But you could link this call to action button to maybe your online rental tool or maybe your contact us page. Order online, that's another great one, especially for storage facilities that have an online rental tool. So you could link this call to action button to your online rental tool again, or maybe if you have a portal login page where tenants can log in to a personalized account like they can on our Pinnacle website design, that's another great option. Buy now is another call to action button. Again, online rental tool, that's always a good idea. Your facility description page, maybe your contact us page, something like that, right? Where they can get in contact with you and buy a unit rather right now. Learn more, that's another good one if the tenants or potential tenants rather want to learn more about something. So you could link it to your home page, to your about page. Maybe you have particular unit descriptions. Maybe you also have a blog. That's another really great thing to link to for this particular call to action button. All right, 3 more call to action buttons left. So your next 2 options are sign up and get offer. So sign up, you could maybe link to a storage auction page if you have one coming up. Maybe you have a newsletter that you want them to sign up for or some type of special offer. And then get offer, that's similar, right? So if you have a coupon going on or a special unit that has a specific discount, you could link it to that. And then call now, this personally is my favorite call to action button. Simply because it's really optimal for mobile devices, right? So if it's a post sharing some information, they could simply click call now and it would automatically begin to call your facility as that phone number would be linked in with your Google My Business account, right? So that's super convenient for storage facilities. And again, really what these call to action buttons do is they get the tenant or potential tenant closer to conversion faster. All right, so Google Q&As. We've talked a lot about Google Posts. Let's jump into the Q&As. So how exactly do they help you? Well, the first way is they create user-generated content. And so we're thinking, okay, well, what does that mean? Why does that matter? Whenever customers, in this case, it'd be potential tenants, are engaging with a business online, specifically with Google tools, this is something that Google absolutely loves, right? We have to keep in mind that Google loves when you use Google tools or Google things, right? So if people are engaging with this and it's with your business, you will most likely be rewarded for that. And what's a reward from Google? Well, usually that reward is a greater online presence or boosted local rankings. The Google Q&As also serve potential tenants, right? So these can kind of serve as frequently asked questions. Maybe someone else has asked a question, or you have frequently asked questions already posted on these Google Q&As. These potential tenants could look at these questions, and maybe a question that they have is immediately answered, right? Rather than having to contact your facility via a web form or even calling the office. Google Q&As also increase content and visual appeal in your knowledge graph. So really the more information, the more quote unquote decoration you have in your knowledge graph and your online listing, it increases your chance of online traffic. It increases your chance of having higher rankings, and therefore it increases your chance of facility revenue and conversions. Then the last really awesome thing about Google Q&As is they're so awesome for voice searches. We'll go into how voice search is growing right now and how important voice search is specifically, but they're really popular, right? And they're growing. So voice searches are usually in question format. So Google Q&As are really more optimized for voice search. So that will absolutely work out in your facility's favor. All right, so succeeding with Google questions. Yes, they can help you, but they can also harm you if they are not used correctly. So first things first, if you do get a question, avoid ever leaving a question unanswered, right? This is just like leaving a customer review unanswered, right? It's definitely something you need to avoid entirely. So you really need to monitor the knowledge graph. Unfortunately, it doesn't send you some type of notification, but if you are paying for, a Google Q&A service, then this is something that could be monitored. You also want to avoid yes or no responses in your questions, right? If you just say yes, you just say no, this really doesn't help much, right? You want to give a little bit more detail for further engagement, right? Showing the future potential tenants that you really do care about people asking your business questions. You can also quote unquote like or give a thumbs up to questions that you liked. This gives them better real estate in the knowledge graph and potentially could help them show up in rankings in different searches. And then you can also report spam questions, right? So if you get a totally irrelevant question, since anyone off the internet can ask you a question, you can simply flag it and report it, and Google, will eventually take care of that. And that's the way you can take action as a business. So I'll just show you an example of these things, right? People can like questions. So you'll see that arrow on the left-hand side. They can simply click that thumbs up. So anyone can do that. And then you as a facility owner or the public, if they see a question is odd or out of place, they can also flag spam questions with the flag. So that's definitely important. Okay, so coming all together here as our solution to these really new features, these underutilized tools from Google My Business, that would be our Google Elite package. And so it resolves all of this. So in the setup, 3 things are included. We'll set up strategic 10 FAQs, right? So that'll include different keywords that are best for your search engine optimization, right? Encouraging more traffic towards your way. So we'll set up 10 of those and answer those for you. And then also there is a text and instant message feature on Google My Business. So this is something that we could set up for you with this Google Elite package, right? You also have an identity attribute option, and we can set that up for you. So if your facility happens to be veteran-owned or woman-owned, something of that nature, this is something that we can clarify in the knowledge graph and give it a little bit more information, right? The more information in the knowledge graph, of course, is the better. And then the 2 weekly services, right? Really important stuff here. We'll have photo uploads to Google My Business. So anytime your facility wants a new photo uploaded to Google My Business, you can send that into TSG, the storage group, and we will upload it for you. So something you should know, right, is Google My Business, Google specifically, loves photos, and they love when you're taking advantage of that photo option. So this is something that we will do for you. And then 1 Google Post weekly is included within this package, right? So we've gone into why this is important, but what's included in that Google Post is content, 1 photo with that post, again, of course, important, and then that call to action button. All right, so local listings. We will be talking about, how you can compete in your local rankings, as I mentioned earlier. But we'll also talk about, okay, how do you optimize those local listings for voice search with these new digital trends? All right, so again, we'll start off with a poll question here, just putting out feelers for how everyone feels about their online presence currently. So A, you'd like to learn what is affecting your online presence. B, your facility's online presence needs improvement. C, your facility currently has a really good online presence already. Or last choice here, you're really not sure. So just choose the one that's most applicable to you. All right, about 20 more seconds here, and then I'll close it on up. All righty, I will close that up, share the results. All right, so 56% of you said that your facility's online presence does currently need some improvement. So I can assure you throughout this webinar, through the remainder of this webinar, that we are discussing things that will absolutely help your online presence. But those of you who did answer that way, I would really consider the Google Elite package. For a limited time, we do have a special offer on that. I'll go into that at the end of the presentation, but definitely something to keep in mind. All right, so local searches. So do they matter? Yes, absolutely they do. So here's 2 stats explaining why exactly they matter. 88% of local business searches result in a call or an in-person visit within 24 hours, right? So that's huge. That shows you, how high that conversion rate is when people are doing local-based searches. In addition to that, on average, 97% of people have searched online to find a local business. So you can see how common these are and how easily they could be converted. So what exactly does this mean for your storage facility specifically? Well, 1, people love the internet for local searches, right? There's certainly not a lack of that. And then 2, by not showing up in these local queries, these local searches, your facility is absolutely missing out on some serious revenue, right? So you want to take advantage of this online presence, especially when it's local based. All right, so voice search trends. So first, before we go into, how we can resolve these voice search trends, let's talk about how huge these are. So by 2020, it's expected that 50% of online searches will be voice searches, right? So that's pretty huge. We can see where we're headed already. Okay, but then local searches are 3 times more likely to be from voice search. So we see how popular voice searches are, but we also see that a huge amount of those are local-based searches. And again, I feel like I don't even need to clarify now. That's so pertinent for storage facilities. Okay, so what does this mean exactly? People are using voice user interfaces more, so you'll hear about, Siri, the Amazon Alexa, the Echo, anything like that. People are using them way more. And then 2, the lack of voice search optimization takes away from conversion opportunities, right? So how do we take advantage of that? All right, so really our solution for this voice search optimization is dynamic listings. So you may or may not already have dynamic listings. This is absolutely a great feature of dynamic listings, brand new feature. If you had dynamic listings, you should know about this. So each one of your local listings on dynamic listings will be optimized for voice searches. And I'll go into what this product is exactly. But it also increases the likelihood of your facility popping up in any local searches, right? So just imagine, a tenant is driving, they're driving, so they decide to do a local search via a voice search. Your facility has a higher chance of popping up in those voice results. All right, so last poll question, I promise, but here I'm going to pop this up here. What is your current interest now that you know just a little bit about dynamic listings? So either A, you currently pay for dynamic listings and you want to know its benefits, you're looking to purchase dynamic listings, or you're interested in learning about it. Maybe you didn't even know about it originally. About half of you have answered, so waiting for a few more. All right, about 10 more seconds and I'll close this poll up. And again, just choosing the one that's most relevant to you. Alrighty, I will close this up, share the results. All right, so it looks like it's kind of split. So a lot of you already pay for dynamic listings, so that's good to know. And I think you should absolutely tune in here so you really know the value of this product. And then some of you are just interested in learning about dynamic listings. So that's great. We'll definitely go into what exactly it does for you potentially. All right. So first I'll cover potential problems with your local listings, right? What problems could arise from this? Well, first let me cover what a local listing is. So an example would be, your business information on just Google My Business, or maybe that's your information on Yelp or Foursquare, things like that, right? So potential problems that could arise from those. Well, if you have different listing information across different platforms, different listings, this actually will decrease search engine trust. An example of that may be you have certain office hours on Google My Business, but they're a little different on Yelp, right? So that will actually decrease search engine trust, and that can pull down your rankings, right? Another potential problem is competitors can actually tamper with your listing. So they can either, claim it as their own, they can change things, right? And so if they're not secured and locked in, this could happen as well, and it could potentially drag you down beneath your competitors. Pretty malicious, but it definitely can happen. Also, if there's duplicate listings, that can hurt you. So say you have, multiple listings on Foursquare or multiple on Yelp, right? This can really hurt you, and Google or other search engines will drag your rankings down, right? That's what I mean by it will hurt you. And then if you have a lack of local listing platforms, that really does not serve your local online presence at all. So if you're just on Google My Business, but nothing else, by the way, there's hundreds and hundreds of listing platforms out there. And if you're only on one, that really does not serve your online presence at all. All right, so again, we come back to dynamic listings and what it does, and it really serves as a solution to all of those potential problems, okay? So it makes all of your local listing information consistent. In addition to that, it lists your business information on up to 70 search engines, online directories, and maps, right? So it really increases your online presence, right, immediately. It suppresses duplicate listings across those 70 directories, and then it also secures and locks them in, right? So those competitors can't tamper with your listings, and they can't hijack with them, or hijack them rather. So super important stuff there. All right, there's another even bigger option if you're really wanting to boost up your local presence. And this is, similar to dynamic listings, but really it's on a whole new level here, right? And it's dynamic listings at Elite. So what this does is it takes your listing information and it puts it on the top 4 data aggregators. What that means is any local listing out there is going to scan these data aggregators to get your business information. And these are the different aggregators, so Factual, Newstar, Local Ease, and Info USA. So they're huge. If anyone is looking at a data aggregator for a business, these are the 4 that people and listings are looking at, right? And so what this does is it gives you way more listings. It's a huge local online presence, right? So could potentially boost your online rankings very quickly. Also, it just further increases search engine trust, right? The same information is across so many listings, right? So it just gives you that extra boost that you could be looking for. And with all of this, search engines trust you more. And usually what that results in is just a really, a better online presence, which means, more online conversions for your business. And that is all I have today. So thank you all for joining. I will go over some questions, any questions that were asked. Actually, there were no questions asked. So hopefully I cleared up any questions that you all had today. And I went over all the products and information that you were looking for. If you do have any more questions or interest, you can contact Jill Baker. Here's her contact information here. I'll hold it up here. And it looks like there's one question that just popped in. And it says, how does dynamic listings interact with the use of marketing phone numbers? We use different numbers for different lead sources. Yeah, that's a good question. So this is actually something that Jill Baker would be able to answer. As far as, the technical items, I can't necessarily answer all of those, but I can assure you that dynamic listings really solidifies all these listings, whether you have one phone number or multiple phone numbers. It makes it so nothing is affected in your local listings, right? And your online rankings could be boosted. So Jill Baker is the best person for you to reach out to. And I can see who answered the question, so I'll have her reach out to you directly. But thank you all so much for joining today. And we will email you if you want a copy of the video. The video will be sent of the webinar in that email. So thank you all and have a lovely rest of your week.